Alright, hello everyone, it's me Ethan, and in this video we are going to explore backbending, and I'll specifically go into this question: what is the ideal physical form of Urdhva Dhanurasana, and how do you get there from where you are now? So, in yoga, the idea of perfection in any aspect of the physical practice has kind of become a taboo subject. It's something that we should not really speak about because we try our best not to create a sense of inadequacy or hold anyone to unreasonable standards in the practice. Yet, we come to the mat every day open and willing to explore what's in there and ready to gradually improve on that. I think the conversation about what is ideal becomes a lot more accessible when you break down that concept into two parts. So on one hand, we have the ideal form that relates to your individual circumstances, your body, your proportions, where you are in your evolutionary process, and how you feel on the day. This can kind of be seen as the relative ideal, and while it is ever-changing, you can strive towards it all the time. Your best way to find out what this form is for you would be to receive individual guidance from a teacher. The other aspect could be seen as the absolute ideal, and it applies more to the context of what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve. Urdhva Dhanurasana in the context of the Ashtanga sequence may be a bit different in terms of the ideal form than it would be in a different sequence. Ours is designed to encourage a sense of stability in the posture, and it would ideally be well balanced with the arms completely straight, the shoulders aligned above the wrists, neck relaxed, the hips pressing upwards, and the angle of the shins at least straight up or tracking forward so that the knees align over the toes. This is the position that will very effectively act as a counterpose to the deeper forward bends in the sequence and allow you to stand up from Urdhva Dhanurasana to work on the drop backs that follow it. If your version of the posture does achieve both of these things in your sequence, then it could be seen as the absolute ideal physical form in this context. So that's kind of a two-dimensional view of the posture itself, whereas actually the ideal form will come along with the ability to stay in the asana for 5 full breaths, then follow the vinyasa count without breaking it in between and go through Urdhva Dhanurasana 3 times. It takes a lot of stamina, and of course it can be a long-term process to get to this point in the practice. For the vast majority of students, the process of finding comfort in Urdhva Dhanurasana usually begins with the journey to get deeper. And to make that easier, we can start by looking at the setup. For Urdhva Dhanurasana, Sapta, jump through, lay down with straight legs. Ashtau, prepare by pulling the heels in close and setting the feet just wider than the hips. Then place the hands beside your ears with the elbows drawing in towards each other. Make sure to get tight in the legs and the arms here so that you can get a solid lift off the floor. Nava, inhale, lifting into the pose. You'll feel the glutes engage when you lift the hips, and that is perfectly fine. But try not to let this be so strong that it makes the knees turn out to the sides or the heels slide towards each other. If you struggle to lift all the way up to a straight arm position, you could break down this lift by first lifting the hips, then lifting up onto the top of the head, not the forehead, and finally straightening the arms as best you can to find your stable Urdhva Dhanurasana position. When you're comfortably in the position at Nava, hold for 5 breaths. This is how you make some space to get deeper on the second one. Straighten your legs and push your chest towards the back wall. Then Dasha, bend deeply into the knees, coming as far forward as you can to place the top of your head on the floor. Walk the hands in closer one at a time before inhaling back up into Urdhva Dhanurasana. Take 5 deep breaths. Again, straighten to make some space. If there is movement here, you are probably able to walk your hands in a little deeper. You can either repeat the same technique as before of putting the head down and walking or crawling the hands closer, or if you're too deep to make much progress in that way, you can lower down, touching your forehead weightlessly against the mat, then lift straight back up and take your final step to get deeper once the arms are straight. This will be your deepest Urdhva Dhanurasana. The position with the chest aligned above the wrists with straight arms, the hips pressing high and the knees tracking forward over the toes will be ideal to stand up from. If you're not yet working on the drop back sequence, walk your hands back to make space, then slowly come all the way down. Rest here for a moment with your spine relaxed against the mat before straightening the legs and rolling back through Chakrasana. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Okay, give these tips a go and remember to practice sustainably while you try to find your perfect depth. For me personally, I feel really comfortable with a little bit of space in between the hands and the feet, and I find that allows me to do everything that I want to do. So drop backs, the tocks, catching as high as I want to catch and as high as my teacher wants me to catch, so that's perfect. And so pushing it seems to be sort of a high risk, low reward type of situation. If you experience the posture with stability and ease, you are probably on the right track. So let me know what you want to learn next, and I will see you in the next one.